There are 4 walls on every stage. The first 3 separate the backdrop and offstage sides from the performers. The 4th is a sort of one-way mirror between the audience and the stage. The audience can see the performers and their characters. The characters cannot see the audience watching the play. This invisible wall is called the 4th wall. To acknowledge the audience, or to have an audience member walk up to the stage and participate among the characters, would be breaking this 4th wall. In broader pop culture, especially within the realm of video games, to break the 4th wall might also be an acknowledgement of the medium which the fiction takes place in, rather than explicitly acknowledging the existence of an audience and/or player of the game. In the medium of MCYT, as with many other cases of in-game improv, this distinction between these 2 different kinds of 4th wall forms a sort of blurry hierarchy. The mechanics of Minecraft as a video game are acknowledged more frequently and more casually throughout a video, whereas acknowledgement of the medium as a performed and presented act, that of a video or stream, will often take on more significance to the story. Therefore, this essay proposes the existence of 2 layers of the 4th wall, constructing an 8th wall between the world of MCYT as taking place within the video game Minecraft and the world of MCYT as a presented medium through edited video format. A version of this concept of an 8th wall appears in Nitro Rad's review of the game Pony Island, where he explains the concept in the sense that the player of the game is technically watching and playing as a character, who in turn is the actual character playing the game. Much of MCYT can be similarly understood as discrete layers of this form of embodiment, quote, the sense that something is a part of one's body, end quote, or in this case, the existence of differing versions of a single character on different layers of narrative. Where these 8th walls differ is the exact nature of how they are constructed. While YouTube videos cannot truly break the 8th wall by Nitro Rad's definition, there is ample possibility for them to do so in the arrangement of tripled embodiedness proposed here. On the first layer is the world as real. The characters here largely speak, act, and react as though they are physically experiencing the world of the game itself as reality. While it's rare to see a series that never goes even slightly beyond this point, MCYT-based machinima and heavily roleplay-based SMPs are more prone to operating primarily or wholly on this level. The 2024 machinima series White Pine, for example, refuses to acknowledge the mechanics of the game it is in. Redstone is treated as an in-universe object that serves as a substitute for electricity. Character skins and names are presented without comment on any peculiarities, and mechanics that run counter to the overall story, such as the existence of respawn or an inventory system, simply do not exist in the universe White Pine presents. The 4th wall of MCYT separates this type of embodiment, the world and characters as existing in real and physical forms, from acknowledgement of the world as a video game. Blurring, crossing, or ignoring this line shows the audience a player character aware that they exist within the world of a video game on some level. They do not have to directly acknowledge the existence of an audience. Instead, the level of fiction this creates is that of a fully in-the-moment player of Minecraft. This player is aware of the fictional nature of the world they are in, commenting on and even directly utilizing game mechanics to their own benefit, but they are unaware of the exact nature of its fictionality. Without an understanding of the 8th wall, the gameplay which the player character creates is generally read and understood as being candid, and for the player's sake instead of being presented for the audience's sake. Beyond this 8th wall, then, lies acknowledgement of MCYT itself as a medium of storytelling, one where gameplay and in-world actions are still chosen for their in-game practicality, but are also performed for the sake of the viewing audience. Characters aware of this layer act differently than characters theoretically unaware of an audience. They may not directly engage with any form of viewer base, but they speak with awareness of the process which they go through to meet that audience, whether this is in the form of gleaning information from a live stream chat, or in acknowledging the existence of their medium as being curated through the process of editing a video to share. The simplest exemplification of flow between the fourth and eighth wall is the concept of an editing room persona, a separate version of the player that exists in post-commentary on the presented format, as opposed to being within the video game world itself. Most of these interactions are somewhat one-sided. The editing room persona, or other form of post-commentary, has full knowledge of the player's in-the-moment decisions, but the player is usually not directly aware of their other self in the editing room. A typical example of this one-sided eighth wall break might occur when the player asks a rhetorical question aloud, to which the editor will give a literal answer for the benefit of the audience. On occasion, the player might show a brief awareness of their other self in the editing booth. For example, a brief diversion where the player asks their editing room self how something is pronounced, before deciding on a pronunciation regardless of the editor's on-screen contribution. Here, the player is fully aware that they will have a future audience, and that their play will be interpreted through the lens of a YouTube video, but cannot actually interpret what their future self is saying to them. This, briefly addressing a future audience when one otherwise acts as a player within the game, is the simplest instance of breaking the eighth wall, the like and subscribe call from inside the game, but is by no means where play with the eighth wall ends. In some situations, the player will exist in a hybrid state, resting in the boundary between multiple walls, either as intentional commentary on the medium or as a result of their commentary style. An example of the latter, done somewhat unintentionally and completely fluidly as a result of the inherent layers of MCYT as a medium, is a clip from variety horror YouTuber The Librarian in his playthrough of the Sleepless Data Pack, from The Fog Mystery House. The librarian's character in this particular series is a former dictator haunted by the spirits of his former victims. In-game, this refers to various skins from the Herobrine mod, from The Fog. However, much of the librarian's time is spent discussing himself in an out-of-character context from beyond the eighth wall. The librarian's usual mode of storytelling is to invent a character somewhat in retrospect, discussing his own player character's motivations and actions in real time to his future audience. This is not novel to the way he plays any other horror game, where he will frequently speak directly to the game in conversation with its storytelling elements, but it becomes unique when applied to the sandbox nature of Minecraft. In essence, the librarian treats his own in-world player character story with the same distantly analytical lens that a builder might approach their complex megabase's in-world lore. In the clip in question, the librarian is planting crops in his greenhouse area when he notices one of the spirits standing on the roof and looking down at him. He reacts with shock, then quickly goes to attempt to take a picture of the entity with the photography mod he has installed. He takes several shots at different exposure lengths, before missing the moment the entity despawns, due to setting the final exposure too long by several seconds. After the entity despawns, the librarian starts talking about how failing to take the final shot led to a better moment for the camera, and was closer to what he would have actually done in that situation. Because of this immediate retroactive commentary, the librarian occupies a unique place within narrative layers. The character that reacts to the initial appearance of the spirit is at once the librarian as a deposed tyrant, the librarian as a player of Minecraft, and also the librarian as a video maker and storyteller. This 56-second clip displays a fluid slide between layers of embodiment, a sort of superposition collapse that resolves into all three on-camera personas simultaneously. However, this particular instance of fluidity between the fourth and eighth wall is largely incidental, and by no means the furthest extent to which this line can be blurred. With more intention, these layers of narrative can become active factors in a story's plot and themes, such as with MCYT or Canadians, the Wi-Fi's Debunk collaboration, a video that is one part plot-based April Fool's video and one part meta-commentary on Minecraft escape rooms and the debunking trends associated with them. The particular niche of Minecraft play that Canadian specializes in requires a very technical understanding of Minecraft's mechanics, and is heavily focused around precise movement and knowledge of niche gameplay system interactions. Because of this, whatever fourth wall exists in most escape room content is slim to nil, since the player is expected to explain their reasoning for working with these mechanics within the context of the video game they're playing. Similarly, any debunking of these escape room videos typically contains little to no eighth wall, as the goal is to present directly to the audience an argument for how a YouTube video may have been constructed misleadingly. The video in question is initially framed in this documentary style, with Canadian laying out their real-world reasoning to the audience for why they believe Wi-Fi's may be lying about how his videos are made. The assumption that Minecraft is a video game and not a real world is therefore taken as default until proven otherwise, with scenes of the characters acting in the game as they would in real life, presumed to be non-literal visual representations. This begins to fall apart when Canadian actually comes face to face with a version of the in-game Wi-Fi's, who claims that the Wi-Fi's in the escape room below them is a clone designed to complete escape rooms. This evil Wi-Fi's physically exists in the game space to some capacity, but his primary motivations are oriented towards the concept of an outside audience. Canadian, meanwhile, continues to exist fully on the layer of Minecraft as a video medium, even when trapped inside the escape room by the evil Wi-Fi's. They could choose to fully disengage and reveal to their audience the quote-unquote truth about Wi-Fi's without any personal risk, as they don't actually exist within game space. Instead, they choose to enter the fiction further, and act as real within the game and the world in order to rescue the Wi-Fi's clone, who is largely unaware of any concept other than Minecraft as his real world. In this way, Canadian's character arc of growing to respect and trust the clone of Wi-Fi's during their escape parallels the way they move through layers of embodiment. They reach through the 8th and 4th walls in order to pull the Wi-Fi's clone up to their layer of reality as they work alongside him. Canadian's ability to break the 4th wall inwards is a unique quirk brought about naturally as a result of the way videos like theirs interact with layered embodiment. Because MCYT characters are fictional on multiple levels of embodiment, and the lines between these levels are often so blurred, it becomes far more narratively possible for characters with different layers of fictionality to interact with each other in ways that take into account their differing views of reality. While the Wi-Fi's debunk doesn't focus much on this aspect of its narrative, there are other works which play further with ways of breaching these gaps. For example, plot developments throughout the course of Legundo's 100 Days Multiverse series, heretofore referred to as 100 DMV. As a YouTube series, 100 DMV is nominally a series of modded challenges in the style of the hardcore 100 Days trend. What sets it apart during its most heavily story-oriented era, mid-Season 1 to late Season 2, is the series' focus on both incidental storytelling and the heavy usage of ARG elements. The primary antagonists of 100 DMV, an eldritch collective known as Decim, seem to be largely aware that the world of Minecraft is a video game, or at least manipulatable as one. A point of view informing abilities which those on the layer of Minecraft as real consider a reality-warping threat. The trait that sets them apart here is also their vague awareness of the 8th wall, in the form of consistent acknowledgement of 100 DMV's audience. Decim are aware of, and are able to appeal to, Legundo's audience through various modes of communication, most frequently on-screen text and ARG puzzles. What they seem unaware of is the exact nature of this connection to an audience, as the way they speak implies that they view 100 DMV viewers as being on the same level of reality as them, rather than participants in an interactive fiction. They are therefore aware of the 8th wall, but unable to meaningfully break it. Their reality warping can only be turned on lower layers of fictionality. The actual protagonist of 100 Days Multiverse, Legundo himself, is in a unique position in relation to these layers of embodiment. For the most part, he seems to exist in the same generally fluid state the librarian resides in, post-commentary acknowledging the existence of a YouTube audience, quote-unquote candid, present-tense speech in-game, and some amount of roleplay as a character for whom Minecraft is reality. The unique aspect of this embodiment comes in the way all layers of his commentary are colored by events that would logically only affect him on the level of Minecraft as real. A prime example is his death during the initial day 11 of the 100 DMV video featuring dimensional doors, which among other things corrupted the world file and forced him to restart several days earlier from a backup. After resetting, Legundo experiences multiple moments of deja vu, which he should know the context for as his post-commentary self, but seems to have no memory of. Incidents such as these imply that Legundo's existence is primarily within the context of Minecraft as his real world, with higher layers simply being things he has general awareness of in certain situations. In turn, this sets up a parallel between how Decim and Legundo view the world, as both are able to break/see through the 4th and even 8th walls in similar ways. This serves as foreshadowing for later plot development, revealed through hidden text in the world download for Legundo's second hardcore world. Lagundo operates similarly to Decim in his relationship to the 4th and 8th walls, because he is a former member of the group. Events that affect him on the level of Minecraft as a reality affect him on all layers of embodiment, because he has been forcibly isolated to that layer, and his awareness of other forms of reality can be attributed to qualities he would have taken on during his time with Decim. Within other artistic mediums, this sort of layering of reality is notably difficult to achieve. The reason Nitro Rat's review of Pony Island coins the term 8th wall in the first place is to describe a carefully constructed effect that doesn't fit existing definitions of the 4th wall. MCYT has a comparatively easy time playing with this framework and the effects it can create. After all, these layers of fiction come baked into the works themselves, in the form of different kinds of embodiment on different levels of story. The 8th wall can be a somewhat limiting factor of this artistic medium. It does take active work to circumvent or de-establish, but it can also be a great asset and a unique strength. Whether broken intentionally for the purposes of a plot beat, or unintentionally evoked in a way that creates thematic depth, the existence of an 8th wall complicates the medium of MCYT in a way uniquely suited to storytelling in new, unexplored ways.